Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in an uptrend. If you take a look at trend gauge over here, market leaders, green arrow, super strong bounce from many of the growth leaders today after yesterday's minor momentum unwind. So really good positive action today. Short term above the 21 EMA, and like I've been saying every video, that power trend is still alive. Medium term trading above the 50-day moving average, and that is decisively getting back above the 200-day moving average. And they call that the golden cross. So good to see that full bullish alignment there. And then long term, starts to get in that four coveted green arrows as the 200-day starts to slope back up, especially with the 50-day above now. So what happened today? Well, after yesterday's close, some of the leaders had some outside negative reversals, and many of them fired back today quite strong. And then Bitcoin was another highlight that looks like it may break out any day now. Strong close on that one today. And some of the sectors that did have some rotation yesterday still held up pretty well. Small caps had another day two higher high. You had regional banks falling through to the upside. You had home builders putting in a tight inside day. So all in all, really good to see. And that fits the narrative of further breadth expansion with growth leaders firing back and nearly everything up on the day today. So 21 over 21 list was up 0.81%, 12 green, 5 neutral, 4 red. Turbo 12 up 2.19%, largely led by some of the quantum names, QUBT, 9 green, 3 red, Big 8 up 1.18%, RG8 up 1.17%, mid caps up 0.99%, Russell 2000 up 1.39%, 60/40 stock and bond up 0.15%, flagship portfolio GROTECTION up 0.63%, and then TurboTection up 1.81% on the day. Alrighty, let's get into the interasset correlation. So S&P 500, obviously this held up better yesterday. It was just a tight inside day, and I mentioned it held up good because S&P catches all the rotation. And then today, just falling through another new all-time high. Definitely not bearish. And again, just continued higher now, up 6, 7 days. So, continue to move higher. And this 50-day is, nicely back above the 200-day and starting to slope up. So continue watch these, all-time highs in the 8 EMA as well. Weekly, we'll just go there. And again, you can see just continued higher, holding above that 61.47, which was the previous weekly all-time high, and closed back above 6,200. RSP, again, building after yesterday's strong day. And again, if these start to get in gear, that should only strengthen the market. Inside day closing in the upper end of the range, was red today for a bit, and then ended the day quite strong. QQQ, textbook bounce off the 8 after that downside day yesterday and closed right at that 550 mark. Good action in tech. Mag 7, again, 2 days pullback into the 8. Nice reversal today. Dow, slightly red on the day with an inside day. Again, 4 powerful days up in a row, so maybe this starts to handle out here at the highs. Mid caps, day 2 higher high. This is exactly what we want to see as breadth starts to expand. Russell 2000, day 2 higher high as well. It's always good when small caps are working. Seems like more times than not they're not, but this time around this week they are. See if this can continue. And again, any pullbacks into this 2200, 200 day should be supported if this is going to continue higher. ARC, again, flagging here at the highs. No give back whatsoever after the strong move up. Leaders, strong bounce day back on the FFTY. VIX continues to leak lower, down again, and living in that 16 to 18 range. This can even have room to 12, 14. We'll see. The ATR, the S&P 500, is now down to 0.91%. The dollar continues to leak lower, making new lows. Gold getting tight. It's got a pretty clear downtrend line here, building higher lows, sitting right at the 50-day. You got a power of 3. Someone asked in the comments yesterday, what is a power of 3? Power of 3 is just a setup on the 8, 21, and 50-day. And it could be a power 4 at the 200-day. Are all super clumped up and super tight. And as you can see, Um, the 8, the 21, and the 50-day are essentially on top of each other. And basically, what this signals is that it's getting tight and price could see expansion soon. So keep an eye out on gold for which way it wants to break. But again, with the dollar super oversold, an expectation is that if the dollar starts to rally, precious metals, commodities could start to pull back. But for now, this looks healthy. GDX gold stocks, again, kind of forming a bull flag here at the highs. Silver continuing higher as well. This looks good after this strong move out of the base, and now it's building higher lows and consolidating. Bitcoin, super strong day. This one looks like it may want to make a run for all-time highs, up 4.5% on the day, and this has got a, base on base pattern. The weekly shows it better, right? Big base here, broke out, big move up, and now it's got another base that's breaking out of, had 3 weeks tight in this base. Chart looks extremely good. Full bullish, full moving average alignment. So we'll see if Bitcoin can start to take off. Bonds, 2-day pullback, TLT, similar thing. Rates bouncing back up, but again, bunch declining moving averages. TNX, same deal there. All right, that's the interest correlation. Let's get into the tail of the tape. Still operating on the bull case. Percent of stocks with the 5-day moving average. Even after today, it's only at 70, so that has room higher. I'll touch on the NASI as well. That hooked down the other week, and now that's hooked up. RSI's at about 70, so not super overbought. So that still has room to the upside. Still operating on the bull case. News-wise, this morning we got the ADP numbers. They pointed to a 33,000 drop in June payrolls. Consensus was 97,000, while May increase was revised down to 29,000 from 37,000. So we initially came down on that, but again, was a trend up day after the open. And then also a trade deal with Vietnam. And yeah, President Trump announced a trade deal with Vietnam that will remove all tariffs on US exports to Vietnam, while the country's imports to the US will be charged a 20% duty. And then tomorrow's a half day. The market closes at 1 p.m. Eastern, and the market is closed on Friday for 4th of July. Today's keys, all green arrow, good stuff. S&P's holding at new all-time highs, holding above the 8. Qs hold above the 8, just under all-time highs. And the Russell, day 2 higher high, above the 21 and above the 200-day. Day count, up 6/7. 8 days above the 8 EMA, 48 days above the 21 EMA. And the action today was we opened slightly down, and within the first 5-10 minutes found the lows in the day, and it was a strong trend up day. Let's see. And I mentioned S&P ATR, that is down to a 0.91%. So that's good. That continues to get lower. So that fits the theme of indexes in a smooth, low volatility uptrend with leaders outperforming. Sectors wise, Bitcoin was leading. DAPP, this is a Bitcoin miners. There's also WGMI. Those were up big today. XBI, strong day. Semiconductors, TSM, huge candle into all-time highs. You got NVIDIA bouncing back strong today. And then regional banks, pretty correlated with small caps. But again, I made another day 2 higher high. That's good to see. Weakness wise, XLU utility, some of the power generation names like GEV, like Oklo, like SMR, that's been a leading thing that isn't bouncing back as hard as some of the other sectors. So monitoring that. Healthcare was down, financials slightly down, and then communications. Trades wise, GROTECTION today bought Shake Shack. That was it. 1.35 beta, 5.66% open heat. TurboTection, we just added on to the coin position. 1.8 beta, minus 6.44% open heat. Bottom line, growth leader dip bought plus Bitcoin looking for all-time highs. Let's get into the charts of interest. All right, start with GROTECTION. Bought Shake Shack today. Again, great relative strength in this one, breaking out of this flag and kind of coming through this pivot. Restaurants are acting quite well. A little more low volatility, uncorrelated stocks, so that's always good. But looking at some of them, right? Look at the group. Cheesecake Factory just continue to make new highs. You have, let's see, Texas Roadhouse. Again, lower beta, slower names. But again, the charts are setting up, and in the past, food stocks can go on nice, super linear runs. They might not move as fast, but again, little bit easier to hold. Texas Roadhouse looks good. Kava, a laggard, but again, starting to perk up the last couple days. Rose. This one's hasn't been acting too well, but again, we've seen a lot of, 3 days down. Maybe this undercuts the 50-day and moves higher. And then Wingstop, this is another one. Had a big move up off the lows, pulling back to the 50-day. So definitely some strength in the food stocks. Then TurboTaxation, we added to coin today. Added yesterday as well. This was coming down, and today, strong reversal off the 8 EMA, closed back above this 350 pivot, and closed back and found support at 342, which was 2021 IPO week close. And this chart looks really good. Super strong move up on that Genius Act catalyst. Huge volume. First pullback to the 8 EMA on light volume. Strong upside reversal today. And again, I mentioned this, but this weekly base, just huge weekly base, and huge monthly base, still below 2021 IPO highs. So really like the look of this one. See if it can continue higher. All right, that was trade today. Let's take a look at the 21 over 21 list. And we'll start with Hood. And again, another one of the growth leaders just absolutely firing back, right? This one had an outside reversal against Livermore. You could argue violated the upper trend lines. But again, upper trend lines are hard because they're so subjective. You can really draw them so many different ways. So, they're tough. It's tougher to rely on them versus just, you're never smarter than the moving averages, and these will guide price for the whole way higher. And when price starts to break down, they'll start to break the moving averages. But again, this one fired back up 6%. And this is clearly a leader, and that's why we trail positions. Coinbase covered that up 5.7% on the day. Nvidia, really good to see this one back into highs, bounced off the 8, held 150 on the pullback. Semiconductors continue to be extremely strong. I'll just bring up TSM, right? New highs, super strong candle. Broadcom, right? Strong upside reversal. This one looks good. And then just bring up the semiconductor ETF so you can see breaking out of this, 3-day pullback to the 8. So again, as a bull, can't really ask for much more. Shake Shack covered that. CRDO, getting bought up on this pullback, was 3 days down and now firing back up today. So that's really good to see. Palantir, inside day, not as strong as a bounce as some of the other things, but again, sitting right at the 50-day, and this one is sitting right at the 10-week moving average. That is 129.15, so it held that. Again, sometimes zooming out and using the 10-week moving average can help. VST, this is one of the utility names. This is bouncing back quite nicely after finding support at the 21-day. EQT, but bouncing off the 50-day, but this is a natural gas stock. Some of these can be tough to trade. AR is a perfect example, right? Looked like it was breaking out and pretty sharp pullback. So, the the commodity type stocks can just trade a little bit more tricky versus growth stocks. Let's see, Zscaler just consolidating at the highs. I believe they had an offering up here, but that got bought up. Net, again, this one was a 4 or 5 bar break, but bouncing back up. So again, these Monday or Tuesday's lows are definitely critical. We got alert set for a lot of names. DoorDash sitting right at the 8. PWR upside reverse off the 21. CCJ starting to flag out here, just maybe consolidating after this big move up off the lows. Uber consolidating under this 93.60 pivot. VEEV consolidating after this earnings gap. Axon sitting right at the 21-day. This again had like a 3, 4, 5 bar break, but not continuing to the downside. So that's a good sign. GEV inside day, light, closed at the highs. Oops reversal. Envis, this one's been a bit erratic and just not, like this is super choppy. But again, as long as this holds the 21-day, it looks fine. The nature of the stock. Spotify close under the 21 days, that 50 days catching up to price, and then CoreWeave closing right at the 21-day as well. That's the 21 over 21 list. Let's take a look at the Turbo 12 from biggest gainers to weakness. Qubit, what a move on this one today, up 10% on the day. Had a tight inside day yesterday and just completely expanded today. And the quantum stock, super strong. IONQ up 11.6% on the day. What else? You got RGTI, that's kind of a laggard, but again, up 15% on the day. And this, again, this is another example of the power of three. You can see the 821 and 50-day were all pretty much stacked. And then QTUM, this is the quantum ETF making new highs today as well. So, if whether you believe in the technology or not, the stocks just continue to hold up extremely well. IMQ is like the liquid leader and had a huge run in late 2024. Obviously, had a harsh pullback with the market and this being a higher beta name. This is coming back up to the highs, so pretty impressive. Let's see. AAOI, nice upside reversal on this one today. Some huge numbers going into 2026. LEU, this is one of the, you still own this in TurboTaction, bounced off the 21 and reclaiming the 8 EMA today. And this is an example of one of the ones in the power complex, uranium enrichment that's holding up extremely well. Got this downtrend line here. Dave holding up extremely well. Sezzle continue higher, riding the moving averages. MP sitting right at the 21 day. Oddity getting tight in this range. INOD upside reverse off the 21. KTOS bouncing off the 21. GH kind of, building higher lows in this cup. Hinge sharp 2 day down, but pulling back to the top of the base. So we'll see if this can bounce. And then Lemonade just consolidating right now. So, Turbo 12 had a pretty good day, largely led by QUBT. And then, I talked a lot about rotation yesterday. So let's just look at some of those sector ETFs. Carry, day two higher high. ITB, again, inside day. And if we look at some of the home builders, PHM, inside day, closing at the upper end of the range. KBH, Toll Brothers, again. So, good to see. And what we were watching today was that where growth leaders going to continue getting sold off and further rotation into these types of sectors. But what we saw today was these sectors held up great, and we saw growth leaders bounce back. So that is like the Goldilocks scenario and really good for market breadth and health. I also want to talk about some of these power names, right? SMR. Second close back below the 21, and these charts still look fine, right? Zoom out to the weekly, just a little bit extended. So you just need some time to base out again. Oak low, again, just probably need some time to base out again, but they look fine. Just got a little bit overheated in the short term, but still holding up pretty well. And then Apple's another one. This one's continuing 3 days up and three higher highs in a row. And this is good for the indexes to fuel the indexes higher. Meta's another one, sitting right at the highs. This one looks good as well. So all in all, super positive day with a lot of the leaders firing back. And like I mentioned in the video yesterday, one day doesn't make a trend. And especially with some of these pullbacks yesterday, most of them didn't even break the 8 or 21. So that just shows how strong they've been. And pullbacks have been very shallow and short. So bulls stepped up again, and that's, a short day tomorrow. So we'll see. And then the market is closed Friday. But all in all, positive day for the markets, and we'll see if it continues tomorrow. That is going to wrap it. As always, I'd like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. You can reach out to me on Twitter at ConnorJBates_. Phone is 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, comment. We reply to all the comments as well. So hope you guys have a good night and see you tomorrow.